Welcome here this afternoon to what's becoming a fairly breezy classic afternoon here in Vassiliki. Starting to build up mid-afternoon. What is it now? Mid-afternoon, late afternoon. It's just gone 5 o'clock. Powered up nicely on a 103 Ignite and a 5.9 Spy. Where I'm going to try my best over the next few minutes to answer one of those classic questions I get whilst coaching around here on the beach. Why does my harness keep rising up? What can we do to stop that? That's the subject this afternoon. Why is my harness bar up by my chin feeling uncomfortable? Here we go. Now I'm going to try through this session to avoid just going into the debate between seat harness and waist harness. Yes, that would be one solution, just jumping onto a seat harness. But there's lots of pros and cons, and general consensus across the industry seems to be, for general free riding, waist harness tends to win. But that's a whole nother debate that I think I'll save for the walk along series if you come and join me through that Patreon link that you'll find down at the bottom right now. Different part of the discussion. Right now we're talking classic waist harnesses and why are they ending up somewhere around my sternum, around the middle of my chest. Why is it so uncomfortable? What am I doing wrong? Now, through fear of sounding like a broken record, the first thing we can do to start with, just to help us out and stop it rising up too much, is our vision. Eyes up, and not just up and forwards, but up and looking at the wind. It's quite difficult when I'm trying to look at a camera with you guys, but if I look over my shoulder here to where the wind's actually coming from, twisting my shoulders slightly, and at the same time I start to twist my hips and even a little bit my front foot. You can see straight away there's not much chance that that harness bar is going to be rising up very much at all. The next little point that I should bring into is that the idea of the harness isn't to pull straight down or seat. It's not a sitting down action. When you're talking about people dropping or getting low, as soon as you actually start to sit, and I'll show you as soon as I've got some space past these guys, as soon as I sit or squat, all that's doing is pushing everything down into the water. It's not driving the board forwards, and it's making my harness pull up towards my chest. This sitting action here feels like I'm doing something, like I feel like I've got power, but actually, if anything, just then it slowed me down. The idea is that my harness lines are pulling away from where I'm hooked into. You can see right now, as I lean back, as I bring my shoulders back and commit slightly to that sail, there's not much chance of that harness pulling up at all. The only way that harness lines, or the harness bar is going to pull, is away from me. But it does take a little bit of commitment to actually lean back against the sail. Let's turn around and we'll carry on. Okay, port tack on my way back to the beach. Still in the wind I was in just then, but I deliberately slowed it down a bit. Because I find generally the guys that are having the harness bar rising up to the chin and struggling a bit are guys that are just learning to get the board planing and just getting a bit more comfortable in the straps. I generally find once you've got up to speed, everything's at the back of the board and you're blasting along, you naturally do what I just said, which is actually the harness lines are pulling square away from my body. When I'm going a bit slower like this, the instinct is drop low and hang off the boom. And you can see straight away that harness bar is pulling up and I'm very close to the boom. Still in that same wind, starting to lean back, looking for the wind and actually committing that bit more to the sail. Now the harness bar is actually pulling square away from my chest, from my stomach just here. And now actually as a result of that, the board will start to accelerate better as well. Like I say, once you're up to speed, it's a bit more natural. So let's slow it down a bit. Have another look at that. Still in that same wind. Might even start just from hooking in. Hooking in, looking at the wind, It's a quick little flicking action with a sneaky little peek just down there. You're allowed a sneaky peek now and then. You can get away with a sneaky peek. Anything more than a sneaky peek and you get caught, you're straight out the front door. Once I'm hooked into the harness, I'm trying to keep the rig away from me. I'm definitely not pulling that rig in. Am I in, am I out of the harness? I'm definitely hooked in. Or, again, a sneaky peek and a quick movement, I'm definitely unhooked. Quick hook in, commit to the sail. So I'm using my hands for guidance, sure, but I'm not holding on for dear life. Thumbs have come on top, committing back to the sail, even now as the wind's got a fraction lighter. Still leaning back and away from the sail to make all that difference. As soon as I squat, things way like that, things start to go wrong. Now, what I've tried to collect for you just now is a few little examples of what I mean by, let's call it, stances to be worked on. Not poor stance, that's harsh. Stances that need improving. Committing back in a straighter sort of position, as in my arms are the top half of a number 7, from my shoulders through my hips down to my front foot is the other part, or the vertical-ish part of that number 7. If we just break at our waist, it becomes like a C, I suppose, and it becomes just dropping our hips and squashing in this really uncomfortable position where the harness bar starts to pull up. I'm now in that much more comfortable, straightish 7 position, waiting for a little bit of breeze just now. And as I start to commit back, yes, I'm dropping, but I'm dropping all as one unit together in that straightish 7. There it is, driving that board just that little bit. Through that motion there of me getting planing and into the front foot strap, the whole way through, and I'm playing this again in slow motion on top, the whole way through that harness line stayed perpendicular, stayed square to my body. I'll try it again with a drop this time. So this time I'm dropping, still in that same wind, I'm trying to drop and push, but all I've done is squat, sit, kind of dangle off the harness. It can kind of work, but you're going to find you need like 1.5 meters to 2 meters extra sail compared to everyone else to get going like that. In this nice straightish position, you can see again I've loosened up my grip on the boom, using the harness bar kind of like a hinge to push with my front hand, slightly ease in with my back hand. That allows me to drive the board onto the plane efficiently. And again, hopefully in that slow motion you can see there isn't much chance of that harness bar pulling up because the lines are square sticking away from me. Thanks as always for joining me here on the Ridealong channel today. Don't forget, leave me a comment, whack that little subscribe button, come and join me out here for a clinic in Vassiliki, or follow the link through to the Patreon videos where I've got a whole nother series answering a lot more questions and possibly even diving into that seat harness, waist harness debate through some hidden links that you can only access through that Patreon link in the description. Thanks again, everyone.